Joining me in this conversation now is the Minister KTR. I want to understand from you, sir, we are here at Davos, the big picture really that you see emerging. We see this sort of, one can't help but notice this very sort of healthy competition, if one can say, going on between the states, very close to what the other states are doing as well. What is your pitch? What is it that you want to take away from the WEF this year?
Well, Sonal, in fact, my competition is not with any Indian state. In fact, I might sound a bit cocky when I say this, but our competition actually as city Hyderabad is with large, cities across the world. In fact, if you think about it, today an investor, when he's making a choice between India and the rest of the world, I think the toss-up is not between Indian cities or among Indian states. It is more between India versus, another country. So therefore, my job here is to position my state as a premier gateway for anyone to come and invest in, because my strengths are information technology. In fact, if you look at the top 5 most valued tech companies of the world, all 5 of them without an exception have their second largest bases in the world in my city. Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Microsoft. In fact, Amazon's world's largest campus is in Hyderabad. And I can go on: Uber, Salesforce, Novartis, Micron, Qualcomm, all these large corporates.
Yeah, so sector-wise then, life sciences we've discussed already, huge, IT also, EV, a space where we see you evolving more and more. What can we expect in the coming years?
Well, sustainability is a very, very important cause, that our state has been championing. And one of the things we do on the EV space is not just electric vehicles, but also energy storage policy as well. We've come out with a very comprehensive EV and storage policy, which is attracting large number of investments. In fact, world's largest 3-wheeler plant, owned by an American company called Bility, is being set up in Telangana. Likewise, a Chinese company called BYD, whose Indian arm is called Electra, setting up a large bus manufacturing facility. I have a number of other things in the pipeline, at least 4 or 5. In fact, both 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers, all electric. So mobility, and especially electric mobility. And we are even conceptualizing, in fact, we're in the last leg of conceptualizing the creation of a mobility cluster in Telangana. So all in all, what we would like to see is not just manufacturing happening, but also research and development. A lot of adoption of EVs also happen, and also a lot of new storage, research and development happen in my state. So it's a comprehensive ecosystem that we focused on, not just one piece of the puzzle.
I find EV interesting because anyways, manufacturing in automobiles is not something that we conventionally see Telangana as. A lot of neighboring states have sort of championed that cause, but this is going to be, you say, a prime focus moving forward, right?
Absolutely. In fact, see, the way to think of EVs is a lot of people make this mistake of assuming that EV is a variation of an automobile. It's not. In fact, if you ask me, EV is a computer on 4 wheels. So therefore, there's a lot of electronics, there's a lot of coding, a lot of software embedded inside inside something that looks like an automobile. So therefore, any OEM who's looking to expand and who's thinking of EV hub, I would say my state is the best, because we have the talent pool, which is much needed to actually create the next gen EVs, and a lot of research and development that has to go on. If you have to remain on the cutting edge of autonomous driving, of number of other things that are being seen across the world. In fact, I have to share with you, large number of EV companies have already set up their research and development facilities in Hyderabad. Fisker is a large...
But are we just compiling things together, or are we actually producing them when it comes to batteries also?
They're currently involved in research and development, which is of course all on their computers. But eventually the hope is that they will also start looking at manufacturing, because once you have that ecosystem, once you have the research and development wherewithal, I think the automatic extension of that would be setting up a base. And manufacturing is also happening simultaneously. So it's an ideal combination between the two of them.
Right. Since you said EV and sustainability is such a huge cause as well, I just want to understand your concerns on batteries. I mean, we're still dealing with a lot of shortages that have happened, semiconductors, China lockdown, all of that still contributing to it. Is that a space India and maybe Telangana also wants to capture? Like, one of the major takeaways from the pandemic was that, Atmanirbhar is something that Prime Minister also talks about. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, in fact, we as a state, we have an entity called as the TSMDC, the Telangana State Mineral Development Corporation. We have entered into an MOU with Bolivia for lithium. So we are one of those few states in India which actually took cognizance of the shortage or future needs, and therefore we have entered into a direct MOU on a G2G. So we are doing some things which probably nobody else in India is doing. And in my humble opinion, while lithium is important, I think also a lot of innovation that's happening on sodium and a bunch of other new minerals, I think is also equally impressive. And that's one of the things I'm going to explore in Davos, because a lot of innovators who are doing very, very, cutting edge things on mobility, on EVs are here. We are in fact meeting with them. We are even in fact planning a mobility roundtable.
Yeah.
So hopefully some very interesting learnings for us.
Yeah. What happened to Elon Musk and your tweet of inviting him to come and invest in Telangana? Any replies over there?
Well, we've had a discussion right after that.
Oh, you did happen to speak with him?
Yes, of course. We spoke to his team and a number of his teammates. In fact, we met with them. We had a discussion. But unfortunately, Government of India seems to be fixated on this notion of not wanting cars made in China to be imported into India. And that's what I think is putting him off, because in his opinion, while his lowest model costs anywhere around $40,000, he wants to explore and understand the market appetite in India firstly before he starts manufacturing. So therefore, it's a chicken or egg kind of a challenge right now, where I think both government and him are trying to play the game of blink, or literally see who's going to blink first, I guess. But the point is, whether or not Tesla invests in India, whether or not Elon comes to India, the fact is the EV ecosystem is shaping up really well, and I think the first mover will certainly have an advantage, and Elon also should not miss out on this, because India is a huge market. End of the day, 1.3 billion. Large middle class, upwardly mobile, the per capita is rising, and therefore I think it's a story that nobody can really ignore.
All right, Elon Musk, if you're watching this, get the message straight up from here. Thank you so much for your time, sir.